My name is Phil Collins. I'm standing in St George West on May the 2nd for UKIP party, which I've been in for 5 years. Immigration is absolutely out of control. What I cannot understand is how can we let more and more people in the country, with 2 more countries joining in January, when the services cannot cope with the amount of people here now. We're overcrowded. It's like trying to put a pint and a half in a pint pot. Now they want to try and put 2 pints in a pint pot. It will not work. That's why the NHS, housing, schools and all the other services are overrun. I know David Cameron said about GPs must be able to speak good English to work within the NHS, but I also believe that nurses must. I have been in hospital with my mother of 85 over the last couple of years, and on many occasions there's not a single person who can actually hold a conversation with you. They know the yes and no's and a few words, but they cannot speak English. How can a patient interact with with the nurses or doctors if you can't speak the language? I believe people who work in the NHS should be able to speak good English. My mother was in hospital late last year, and they told me to pick her up on a Monday, and then they said the paperwork wasn't ready because my mum had to have her plan of carers reinstated. And the nurses told me that they didn't have the numbers of the social worker and the company that does the care. And I went in on a Tuesday and they said the same thing, and I said, well, I gave all the details when I moved it, coming into hospital. And on the 3rd day, the same thing happened again, and I went and I complained to the person in charge of the hospital in the main offices, and they knew they were wrong, and they actually got a private ambulance within 20 minutes to bring my mother home, because I went to the reception desk, to the nurse's desk station, opened the folder, and it clearly stated all the information the nurses need, but they couldn't read it. They could not understand it. Within those 3 days, my mother was being told one thing in the morning she's going, then she's not, then she is, then she's not. It gets elderly, especially elderly people, confused and upset, and also waste beds that are urgently needed for urgent cases. And I believe that the NHS needs to have more training with British nurses. Why are we not training nurses? It's same as you should have more apprenticeships. We shouldn't be getting labour from abroad. We should be training the British people to do British jobs. It's not racism. We need to look at America, and especially Australia, where they have a point system and they let a few people in they need to help their society. They don't do things and they don't mess about with anyone. If you don't like it, they say get back on that plane. They will not mess about. They look after the country and their taxpayers first. And it's not racist, and people don't like using that word. It's common sense. You've got to look after your own people first. Like everybody looks after the family, then their friends, then neighbours, and then the society. We have got, and I look after Britain and Bristol, then England, then Britain. And it's those things are important to me, and we need to get the figures down, not lower the numbers coming in. We need to reduce the people in the country. It's very important. We should be like Australia, and that is very important. They have a much better culture than we have.